This is the Oneness Podcast, episode 41. I am Jessica Delmar. I assist in strengthening your knowledge of who you truly are as a powerful creator being during these powerfully shifting times. Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. In this episode, I wanted to talk more about the New Earth Vibrational Guidance Scale. I got quite a few comments from you guys asking for me to go a little bit further into this vibrational guidance scale of the New Earth. So in my last episode, episode 40, I spoke about the vibrational guidance scale of New Earth as well as source potentialities. So if you haven't yet listened to that episode, listen to that episode first and then come back for this one. So in speaking a little bit more about the New Earth Vibrational Guidance Scale, I want to talk a little bit about the old vibrational guidance scale, as well as some other scales that I've seen being shared out there regarding emotions or vibrations in connection to consciousness levels. And again, I'm kind of coming from the viewpoint and the perspective of New Earth from this wider perspective, right? Healing past duality. And so from this perspective, you must know that emotions and feeling do not determine states of consciousness. But this only applies when you release attachment and judgment to vibrational feeling. In a lower dimensional duality realm, vibrational feeling serves as a point of expansion or contraction within the field of thought. However, the field of thought in a lower dimensional realm is one of bondage and limitation. So, the vibrational feeling that you're connected to in a lower dimensional field of thought is one that inhibits your freedom or enables your bondage, meaning it's a lose-lose situation when vibrational feeling is binding. The reason why vibrational feeling is connected with consciousness in some of these scales is because vibrational feeling allows you to feel the restraints of limitation. So when you know what you don't want, then you know what you do want. When you feel high vibrations in a lower dimensional duality realm, they serve as very powerful doorways of exiting the duality ping pong, or the high vibration, low vibration ping pong in nature of emotion. Higher vibrations, such as joy and appreciation, in a lower dimensional duality realm, or 3D, feel good. However, if you are still attached to feeling good, then you are also still attached to feeling bad. They exist together in a duality realm, especially a lower dimensional duality realm. One cannot exist without the other. So even though the high vibrations of joy and appreciation are doorways to exit the duality, the attachment to the feeling in those high vibrations actually keep you in duality. So what do I mean when I say attachment to feeling? This means that you feel your way through your reality, not as the feeling sort of sense, but as a feeling emotion. Meaning, when something good happens, you feel good, and when something bad happens, you feel bad. This is natural human behavior in a lower dimensional duality realm, but it also keeps you in a cycle of bondage and limitation. Essentially, the connection between emotion and consciousness is not emotion and consciousness, but emotion and frequency. So when you hold higher vibrational emotions, such as joy, love, appreciation, and acceptance, you resonate at a higher frequency. When you hold lower vibrational emotions, such as shame, guilt, grief, and fear, you resonate at a lower frequency. This does, in fact, affect consciousness, but only the consciousness within the field of thought, or within your field of thought. And again, the field of thought in a lower dimensional duality realm is a field of thought of bondage and limitation. So it's kind of like being in a box is what it showed me. And that's the field of thought inside of the box within a lower dimensional duality realm, such as 3D. And so even if you experience higher vibrations, those higher vibrations allow you to sort of rise to the ceiling of the box, but you're still within the box. And if you experience lower vibrations within that field of thought of 3D, then you sort of are weighed down to the bottom of the box. So the big question is, how do you go beyond the box? You go beyond the box when you realize that the higher vibrations within the box are doorways to the outside of the box. But I'm also going to speak about how even lower vibrations within the box are also doorways to get outside of the box as well. It's just easier when you're in the box of duality that when you have those higher vibrations, you feel good. So those are more prominent doorways of understanding of how to get out of the box. The lower vibrations definitely also offer doorways to go beyond the box, but you really have to understand how it's serving you. And in order to do so with both higher vibrations and lower vibrations, to go beyond the box, you have to allow yourself to release attachments and judgments of everything inside of the box. And so how do you release attachments and judgments of everything inside of the box? You release attachments and judgments to everything inside of the box once you release attachments and judgments to everything inside of you. You are offered the opportunity to release attachments and judgments every single day. Every response or reaction to any situation, any person, place, or thing is an opportunity to take a step back and witness yourself, your attachments, and your judgments in that moment. At first, the program of the mind is not aware of itself enough to self-analyze, but step by step, with conscious intention, your mind will begin to notice itself, and that is a huge step towards expanding consciousness beyond the box. We spoke about how your attachments to feeling good also keep your attachments to feeling bad. What this means is that when you feel good, your mind associates certain things to feeling good. It's programming your sense of self and reactions to situations with the feeling of good. So every single time you have a response or a reaction as good or feeling good to anything in your environment, your mind is programming that association to feeling good, that association of something good to feeling good. However, what this also does at the same time is program the opposite in motion, because that is the nature of duality, especially in a lower vibrational duality realm, the two sides of a coin. You cannot have good without bad. So when your mind picks up on programs that are good in your environment because of how you respond to or react to certain things in your reality environment, it's also simultaneously programming the opposite of whatever you're experiencing as bad. So for example, if someone comes into your experience and you feel love with that person and it feels good, you're responding and reacting as this is something good. At the same time, your neural network of your mind is also programming the opposite state of whatever that is. So it's programming, if the person coming into your life as love and feeling good, then it's also programming the person, if the person leaves, that's associated with not love and the feeling of bad. So again, if that love is taken away, then that's why you feel bad. This again is a natural way of navigating your reality in a lower dimensional duality realm, and also why attachments and judgments continue to perpetuate. So again, the question is, how do you release attachments and judgments to go beyond that box of duality? You must reprogram how you are internalizing your emotional attachments. And often, if you have the sole intention on a greater level, which most of you do, to break free beyond the box of limitation, your reality will offer you an emotional breakthrough to help reprogram your emotional attachments altogether. So these types of emotional breakthroughs offer powerful emotional reprogramming. And this is happening to a lot of people and really kind of the spark of a lot of people's awakening. For me, it was a breakup. This happened many years ago, but in that relationship, I had all of my emotional eggs in that basket. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but the breakup forced me to evaluate how I was attaching my energy outward, especially to other people, and especially in relationships, how all of my energy, there was so much attachment in that relationship. And what it did was it made a lot of my energy extend away from me outwardly. Extending my energy away from me, which is what a lot of attachments to things and people and places do, is it attaches your energy outward. So instead of your energy going inward, so much is extending outside of you. So that did not serve me. And it was also a very disempowering time of my life. But what the situation did do was it forced me to find internal empowerment and bring all of that energy back inward. And so what that did was it shifted my entire reality dramatically, and it shifted how I showed up in my reality so dramatically. It shifted how I was relating, communicating, and responding to literally everything in both of my external and internal worlds. It changed everything. For me, what was the most powerful in shifting energy and releasing a lot of attachments was the power of opposition. Many people fail to see the power of opposition because their minds are so hardwired with association that if something is bad, then it makes you feel bad. And so you stay in that feeling of bad and you continue to cycle that feeling of bad. However, consciousness expansion can come from any vibrational feeling, like I spoke about before. Within that box, of course, you can expand past the box through those high vibrations, but you can also expand past the box through the low vibrations. This is also sort of where it diverts from those scales of consciousness that says that higher vibration equals higher states of consciousness and lower vibration equals lower states of consciousness. Because through this perspective, even lower vibrations and situations also powerfully open consciousness if you truly allow yourself to be aware of the moments passing. It takes extreme determination and underlying faith, trust, and surrender to move from those lower vibrations into consciousness expansion. But this can be done, and this is also the way that so many people are awakening right now, because it creates a powerful pendulum swing of energy that moves you past the box. This is also why duality is so powerful in learning who we truly are. We are not only love, joy, happiness, and all things that are good, but what duality teaches us is that we're also all the things that are bad. But when we're in duality and attached to emotions with judgment especially, then we see the bad things as bad through our perspective or lens of judgment, and we do not fully understand that it goes beyond emotion, and that the things that we see as bad or judge as bad are actually just simply energy that we are uniquely expressing as human emotion and feeling. Beyond our humanness, bad and good are waves of energy that allow us to express and experience a physical reality in unfathomable ways. This is when you know that you have released attachment and judgments to your vibrational feeling state. When you get to this point, then the vibrational guidance scale of New Earth is quite easy to navigate. Your emotions serve for the purpose of expansion. You do not hold attachment or judgment of your emotions, but you experience your world as a human with emotion. Even better, at this state, you experience your world as non-physical source energy, having a physical experience, and utilizing your source stream of energy as fragments of expression, which involve different types of vibrational feelings and emotion. That's an interesting way of understanding your experience and your existence in this world. But again, you are non-physical source energy having a physical experience and utilizing your source stream of energy as fragments of expression, which involve different types of vibrational feeling and emotion. Again, emotions and feelings do not determine states of consciousness. When you evolve and continue your journey of evolving, you have broken past the barrier of lower dimensional duality, that box. So you know what it feels like to have those attachments and judgments when you look back at being in the box. Hindsight is always 20/20. At the same time, you're also understanding what it feels like to release those attachments and judgments and exist more and more in unity and wholeness. This means that when you encounter feelings or situations as bad, it does not always mean what our old judgments of it means. I understand that bad things happen, horrible things happen, but it does not lessen your experience. You are divine spiritual beings. Source energy flows through you in a human body that is impermanent. But your divine source essence extends beyond your human impermanence. So when you get to the part of your journey where you recognize your unity and wholeness, you are understanding that you are first spirit and that this human experience is fleeting. So the biggest shift comes when you release attachment to and judgments of the human form in the physical and shift to trusting the flow of your divinity that is having a human experience for the sake of expansion. So everything, and I mean everything, that you experience, that you feel, that you respond to, it's all part of your divinity. And if you find that you're still holding attachments and judgments of certain things that come into your life or certain things that you feel strongly attached to, such as feelings, emotions, etc., then you know that there are still parts of you that are not fully recognizing who you truly are beyond this physical form. These things are coming into your experience to help you understand more fully because you asked for it. Did you ask for the difficult or devastating situation? No. But you asked for expansion. When you allow your infinite flow of divinity and faith to move you first, then you find the powerful expansion in even the worst situations. But if you still have the attachment to the physical form, and if you allow for your impermanent human-ness to lead you first, then what you'll find is the deepest wounds within you and the deepest faults outside of you, which is valid too in your experience. But at some point, you must make the decision of what channel of energy that you want to flow deeper into. There are two channels of energy, the channel of your infinite flow of divinity that comes first, or the channel of your impermanent humanness or physical form that comes first. Both channels will actually lead to expansion in some way, but there's going to be very different paths to that expansion, and of course the choice is always yours. This is essentially the basis of the New Earth vibrational scale that I spoke about in the last episode. Any vibration that you hold based upon feeling or situation is a point of expansion into one of two channels. There is possibility of expansion, which is upward movement, and possibility of the other type of expansion, that which we call contraction, but is a downward movement. Surrender will take you to the point of expansion, and the flow of energy from intention will take you to wherever you desire in your expansion or contraction. The clearest intention is to always be of service to your divine source aspect flowing through you, having this physical experience. And so life then just becomes an adventure. You stop trying so hard to make things happen and begin appreciating more of what is occurring in your now moment. The flow becomes steadier and more in harmony between your inner and outer realities, but you are also still dancing with life. Meaning, You will know when you need to amplify more energy in the direction of forward movement, away from what is and into the realm of possibility and what can be. And you will know when to just chill out and enjoy floating down the river. And you'll also know when even contrast serves, and be ready for the expansion that comes with even the contraction. The releasing of attachment to lower vibration allows you to experience the fullness of who you truly are without judgment. And this allows you to see the beauty and expansion held even in fear and separation. When you experience lower vibration, it's always for the sake of expansion, and your job is to find the loophole of where the expansion is in the contrast. Your non-judgment and non-attachment allow you to find the purpose, even in the contrast, which always leads to further expansion. And you'll also notice that within the New Earth vibrational scale, the highest vibration is connection and unity and your divinity, and the lowest vibration is duality, separation, and division. And that's because in the New Earth vibrational scale, you're coming from that point of unity as your sort of foundational vibration of who you truly are. And from that foundational vibration of unity, you then experience the vibrational guidance scale. So you then experience joy from that foundation of unity, and you experience fear from that foundation of unity. You experience everything on the scale from the foundation of unity. You are no longer in the box of duality that keeps you in limitation and bondage. That sort of box now shifts or transforms or transmutes, if you will, into sort of like a vibrational feeling of its own, into its own category along the New Earth vibrational guidance scale. And that's part of sort of the hindsight 2020 thing, where you remember what it feels like to be in that box, to be attached with judgments to everything in the box. And so that feeling is sort of that feeling on this New Earth vibrational guidance scale of the lowest vibration, which is duality and separation. And you know from that hindsight 2020 of what it feels like to be in that limiting box of duality, what it feels like to be free as you make your way into the wholeness and unity of who you truly are. So that's why that is then at the top of the highest vibration on this scale. So on this New Earth vibrational guidance scale, when you feel good, you know that you're on the path of source alignment flowing through you. And it's not that there is no learning in those higher frequencies, but there is more understanding of that unity and witnessing of life as free-flowing energy, desiring to take shape for the enjoyment of expansion, even in the contraction and the lower vibrations. Because the greatest gift is to know yourself, and even energy that is free-flowing, grabbing hold of its ability to feel and express through you, whether it's the fleeting feeling of the wind on your cheek or through your hair, or the feeling of anger in the gut, or the feeling of sadness in the heart. All of those feelings is an opportunity for free-flowing energy to understand and know itself through you, while you are also understanding and knowing yourself through it. And from that perspective, and your ability to witness from that perspective, this beautiful energy exchange, it is a dance of co-creation that enlivens, enriches, and expands the greater source that you are all part of. And that's what came through for today's episode. But before we go, I want to address a listener question. So this question comes from Mateo, and Mateo emailed me asking about one of the last episodes I put out regarding the infinite abyss, and I think this was episode 39. Yes, it was episode 39, the infinite abyss. Mateo writes, at the end when you were answering Laura's question, you talked about healing old traumas, transmuting old trauma energy, and so on. I was called to submit the question of what does it mean to heal and transmute? How do we do that? I hear this a lot, but I feel that I don't know exactly what it means or how to do that. Is this process of healing different for everyone? Do we need to find our own way of doing it? Is it the mind that wants to understand? My mind starts to go off asking, how do I heal from a wound when I was a child, or any wounds or traumas? What does that practically mean? What do I have to do? And then it becomes a bit of a vicious loop that I fall into. Thank you for reading. All the best, Mateo. Thank you, Mateo, for your question. This is a pretty complex question because healing and transmuting comes in layers, and there's cycles and there's stages. And especially when you want to get to the inner child healing, there's a lot of layers before that inner child to get to heal and transmute. There's a few episodes and videos that I've done on YouTube in the past that I've talked about healing and transmuting energy before. And the purpose of those videos is to help you sort of remember those things within you and pull that up within yourself. But I do want to read what came through in response to your question. Healing and transmuting energy all comes from within you. You must first be open and willing to change, and that will then make you notice when change is moving through you. Healing is different for everyone, unique to your own inner needs and wounds. It is not a one-size-fits-all type of adventure. It is up to you to figure out how you respond to the many different types of healing techniques available. But what is most important to remember is that all your healing comes from within. The vessels of healers are meant to help you recognize your inner empowerment to heal yourself. So if you ever encounter someone who makes it so that you need them to heal, you must use your discernment as to whether that person is serving you or not. Healers are vessels to help hold space for you so that you can surrender into your own empowerment. They are here to help open a path for you that expands into more inward curiosity, intention, and self-love. You may walk away from any healing session with more questions, and it may even open a portal of more contrast because energy is being stirred within you in your ability to surrender enough to lift it. When you have the intention for healing, everything in your internal and external realities conspire to help you achieve this. So you must follow your inner voice and intuition. It is not an overnight thing, but a journey of complete transformation, one step at a time, one day at a time. One day you will look back, because hindsight is always 20/20, and realize how far you have come and how much of a different person you are now than you were then. Make it an intention to consciously heal and transmute energy in every moment that rises as opportunity, and there will be many. Do not be so hard on yourself. Yes, the mind often wants to understand and make sense of things, but you will also find that part of the healing journey is healing the relationship with your mind. Follow the breadcrumbs, and your inner guidance will take you on a beautiful healing journey where you will meet many different people, healers, even places, situations, and things. You will be led to certain groups to be part of, certain healing modalities over others, or feel called to travel to certain places or do certain things. Even being called to listen to a certain YouTube video, or a meditation that you find interesting, or someone's Instagram post that you come across, or a song that comes on the radio. All of these things are part of your healing journey, offering codes and frequencies to help stir things up, release energy, and heal. And the other thing that's really important is following those inclinations, following the breadcrumbs, because part of the healing journey is kind of following through and allowing for that energy to be expressed. And expression comes in so many different forms, right? Expression also comes in the form of movement. If you feel called to move, to dance, to physically move locations, those types of things, that's all part of expressing energy and going with where you feel called. This journey is continuous. It involves layer after layer after layer. It involves stages within those layers. There's different waves, there's different cycles and cycles within cycles on much smaller levels and much grander levels. So the important thing is to stay open and allow your healing process to be part of your experience so that it's not so overwhelming, so that you don't think that you have to dedicate a certain amount of time to your healing journey, but that it just starts to unfold in your experience and in your reality, and therefore it becomes much more manageable. And this is because on the journey of your healing and transformation and energy transmutation, you're picking up a lot of things too. So while you're healing, you're also simultaneously integrating a lot of energy and learning a lot of things. So you're learning how to work with energy. You're learning how energy flows within your body, how to become more sensitive to it, how to respond to energy. There's so many things to learn within the healing transformation and journey. So for example, something very simple like, what does it feel like to go from feeling sad to feeling happy? What's the process that you go through? Really think about it. And when you're in those moments of feeling sad, for example, how can you consciously take yourself out of that sadness and transmute that energy into being more happy and more at peace with yourself? There's a lot of integration that comes within that, a lot of energy that you're feeding into the self, such as self-love, self-empowerment, self-purpose. So it's not as easy as you think when you become conscious of that journey and that energy transmutation, but being conscious of the energy that you're working with is actually what's powerfully assisting in your transformation and also powerfully offering you codes and activations that will help aid in whoever it is that you are becoming as your transformed self. In addition, focus on emotion. This is the easiest doorway into deeper types of healing, deeper layers of healing, because there's so much information held in emotion. Use the vibrational guidance scale that we spoke about today and in the last episode, and we've spoken about it before as well. Use the vibrational guidance scale, even the old vibrational guidance scale that Abraham Hicks spoke about, depending upon where you are, in order to understand where you are. Dive into the emotion and ask what it's trying to show you or tell you. This is also why it's important to build a relationship with your reality, because your reality will trigger emotions to try to tell you things. There will be situations that rise to create triggers, and oftentimes it's easy to disregard the triggered emotion and focus on the situation that triggered it in the first place. But the situation is triggering something within you, and that's the thing that wants you to take a better look at. That's the thing that wants you to dive into deeper rather than the situation that triggered it in the first place. Because if you understand where it's coming from within you, you'll understand why the situation happened in the first place. Or you'll understand the deeper things that went into creating that situation in the first place. So for example, with emotion, if fear is being triggered within you, ask yourself, what is it trying to tell you? Many people turn away from fear as it rises within you, but when you become conscious of every emotion and feeling and vibration that you're holding, you have to somehow get yourself comfortable enough to face it, whatever it is. How can you soothe yourself to be comfortable enough to face it? Get to understand how you are internalizing your fear emotions or how you internalize any emotion. Understanding how you internalize things or triggers will help you to understand how to dive deeper into it. Ask yourself, how has this emotion or feeling been cycled for me in the past? Because that will help you dig even deeper into the emotion, because I guarantee you very strong emotions have been cycled throughout your experience. So ask, when was the last time you felt this way? And when was the last time before the last time that you felt this way? And even before that. And maybe you'll find yourself diving into childhood memories or childhood triggers or childhood traumas. And as that comes up for you, it will give you opportunity to work with those things. Dive into the emotion and sit with it within yourself. Get to know it. This means, of course, that you must be comfortable with sitting with yourself and open enough to letting your self-love and divine guidance lead you through even the thickest and darkest of internal emotion. Of course, this is not easy to do on your own, at least at first. As you go further in your healing journey, you might find that it's easier to do these things yourself as they come up for you. But if you're just starting your healing journey, it might be easier to have some sort of guidance, like going to a hypnosis session or any other type of healer that you feel called to work with, because then they can help guide you through these deeper and darker layers. The most important thing is building a conscious relationship with your reality so that you're always hearing its messages to you, and it will help navigate you on your path. My biggest piece of advice is to stay open, stay ready, and stay willing for everything. When I was at a point where I did not know what the next steps were in my own healing process, or just generally what my next steps were, or if I was feeling lost, I would always repeat this mantra of self-ascension that I picked up from spiritual teachers Shri and Kira. And I've shared this before in a YouTube video a long time ago. And this mantra is, I am here, I am open, I am ready, guide me. I am here, I am open, I am ready, guide me. And for me, it meant that even though I didn't know what to do, even though I was feeling lost, I always reminded myself that I was open and being guided no matter what through my openness. And it really helped me to truly trust in my next steps. So receive what aligns, release what does not in your reality. You will build your intuition and discernment this way, because everything in your reality is part of your healing journey. Thank you so much for your question, Mateo, and I hope that helped. Thank you everyone so much for being here, for listening in, and for all of your support. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to send me, feel free to leave it in the comments to this podcast episode or email me. I'll put my email in the description. You can also leave an audio voice message, and I'll put a link to that below as well. This podcast can now be found on all podcast platforms. Listen and subscribe on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, and YouTube. I'll see you in the next episode, and remember that all is truly well. Oneness, love, and peace be with you.